We are the nation of domination.
Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. And today, Nation, we brought some very special guests, some Eagles faithful. We got Chris Franklin and we got Darius Dalton in the building. How you guys doing today?
You're doing well. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's opening kickoff, baby. It doesn't get any better than this, right?
Right? The season started, guys. We made it. We made it a whole long off season, waiting for some real football to come. Didn't see much in the preseason with our guys. We really want to see people, make plays out there on the field. But we still got a couple more days for our game. But at least football starts tonight, man. At least it starts tonight.
It started way too long. All those times and sitting there going, okay, well, let me look at the depth chart. Well, this person going free agency and everything else. It just feels good to actually see somebody hitting somebody for real and not holding them up and everything else with it. I'm glad it's starting to help. Put that way.
Yeah, it's just you get to see all the moves that was made throughout the offseason. Now you're just like, what is this going to be looking like this Sunday? What is this team going to be looking like? All these new accusations. It's like, what are we going to get out of these guys? I think that we're all feeling good at this point in time. So it's just that excitement that's brewing back up that we haven't felt. I'm not going to say it since a particular year, but haven't felt this excitement since that.
Yeah, people are getting really excited out here, man. How excited are you guys from a scale of 1 to 10? Like, how excited are you for this year's Philadelphia Eagles? Do you think this is like the best team in the league, top 5, top 10? Like, how good do you think this team could be?
I think when you look at the NFC, I think it could be a top 10 when everything's said and done. I think they have a schedule that warrants that. I think it's going to be, especially when you're playing the AFC South and you got teams like the Jaguars on your schedule. And then also when you look at the division where, even though it's still division, still have tough opponents, it can be really tough to get some wins in that. So I think the way that the schedule works out for them, I think given that they have an offense with the weapons that they have on there, I think when you add A.J. Brown to free up Devonta Smith and Dallas Scott in the middle of that field, and you still have a stable of running backs, now you legit have 4 running backs that could fit any situation that you need to, especially if you're down by a lot. You throw Kenny Gainwell in the passing thing. If you want to run the ball, you got Miles Sanders starting, and you still got Trey Sermon now and Boston Scott that you can come off your bench too. So, and you look at defense, they can actually pressure. I think they can pressure the quarterback a little bit better than they did last year too, because they can't get away with 29 sacks. So, when you look at everything, I think this team could finish in the top 10 when everything's said and done.
Nice.
Yeah, the roster is very, very talented. It's really reminiscent reminisces off of what Howie was able to go ahead and do in the 2017 offseason while Carson Wentz was under his rookie contract. And I'm seeing that he's taking advantage of Jalen Hurts' rookie contract by stacking up this team. You're talking about revamping the secondary now. two starting cornerbacks with James Bradbury and Darius Slay, and trading for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And then most importantly, though, I like the main moves that Howie was able to make, which is the defensive defensive line, just because that's usually his bread and butter. He wants to make sure he patches up that offensive line and the defensive line before moving on to any other unit, because that classic saying in football, you win the game in the trenches. That sticks, and it continues to stick all throughout the years, no matter how much this game has revolutionized. So going back to the line of scrimmage, hell, even adding Cam Jurgens in the second round, adding to the offensive line, now it looks like, man, well, once Jason Kelce, if he misses a few games or once he retires, we just know looks like we're in good hands now with Cam Jurgens moving forward as well. And then with the defensive line, Jordan Davis, Hassan Reddick, and then already talented with Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, even though he's up there in years, he's not going to be putting too much pressure on him, so able to keep him reserved all throughout the season. And then with the return of Brandon Graham, it's very exciting to see this the line unit on both sides, really be on top. I think that they're top three on both sides of the ball when it comes to the offensive and defensive line as well, and that could really dictate a lot of games. And with these new skill guys that we have around us, this roster could really catapult to the next level.
Yeah, man. It's crazy out there, man. I think top 5 for sure. I think that's where they're at right now. We'll see what happens throughout the season if they drop or, go up higher. But I think the talents and skill level in our roster is just unmatchable. I can't really tell you another team, that has the depth that we have, at every position. It seems like every single one, you're like, you got your quarterback, you got your backup quarterback, you got 4 running backs, you got, 4 deep at receiver that are pretty good, with Quez, AJ, Pascal, what I'm saying? Those are some nice receivers to have. You got a little bit of everything there. You got Dallas Goedert, who's, first year starting, ready to roll. Look how many yards he's been putting up over the last couple of years as a backup, as, a guy that's sharing the spotlight. And now he gets to finally be the guy and come out there. So, and with the offensive line, like you said, they're number 1 in the league, I don't see another offensive line better than these guys. And, we even got depth there as well. So that's going to be really hard to stop this offense. And like you said, the defensive side of the ball stacked on the defensive line again. I think top 3. I don't know any other team with that much depth. Like you said, everybody's going to get enough reps. They're going to be able to rotate in and out of this lineup like, clockwork. And everybody be rested and healthy, for the duration of football games. And I think that's going to be the key to us winning a lot of football games this year.
Yeah, you mentioned it. That's how you win the games, is when they're through the trenches. And I think when you have a guy like Derek Barnett, you don't have to put the onus on him to be their primary rusher. You have him coming on the second unit, and that second unit now looks like it could be Jordan Davis and Milton Williams with him on the edge. I think that frees up. He's got a shorter path to the quarterback, I think, when you look at that. And then offensively, the only place that I really am a little worried about is if something right now with the injury of Andre Dillard is who's going to play left tackle if that happens. But otherwise, when you look at all the other spots that they have available, when you look at the center with Cam Jurgens, when you look at their other, like you got Jack Driscoll that will step in if you need to. Yeah, Sue Opeta. I mean, here's a guy you look a couple of years ago, you're like, what's this guy doing in the practice squad? What's he doing here? Now all of a sudden he's a contributor. Now he's the only thing. And then Josh Sills, a guy, an undrafted free agent who nobody, not myself or anything, I was like, this guy, when you first see him, I was like, oh, he's not going to make the roster or anything. Next thing you know, he's on the 53. So the trenches are where these games are won and lost, and they're going to be the reason why the Eagles are in a lot of these games.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the dominance, the mountain of men that we have, on both sides. Jordan Davis, Maya Lotta, man, 2 of the biggest guys in football. Like I would love, you see these guys on the field, how they would look when they stand next to each other. Like, who looks bigger? You're right.
Jordan Davis just looks like, I'm saying, it makes me feel small. And I'm 6'3", like 250. So I'm probably like, all right, cool. You go on this, I'm like, okay, never mind. All right, I'm not going to mess with these guys. I'm not going to walk around with food and try to take the food because I'm probably halfway over the locker room if I do that. So these guys are huge, and it's almost like and I think it's a little bit different. Like, remember you look at the high school games and you see the bigger guys get off the bus, and you're like, oh wow, this team looks big. But then you see them players like, oh, they're not that. These guys have a little bit of a nasty streak to them too, and I think that's important. So it's not just like you got those big guys that are just like, oh, they're just going there to take space, and then next like, oh, it's like pushing a sled. No, these guys are a little nasty, got a little attitude to them, so that's going to help with that as well too, as well as their size.
That's what I like. That's what I like. I think that this unit, this defensive unit, they've added some personalities that could add a little bit of that nastiness, that, you know, giving you that Philly swagger that we would like to see on that defensive side. Is just like, yeah, we mentioned Derek Barnett, and sure, you know, with his attitude comes a lot of personal fouls, unfortunately, but because he's going to be rotating in and out, you know, hopefully we will not be seeing too many of those. But nonetheless, though, it's just, I do sense that swagger and attitude from this unit that's just getting me stoked to see this defensive side step out onto the football field. And, you know, they're going to be one of the key pieces as well, because, you know, the offensive side, sometimes, you know, it could be unpredictable, but one thing that could stay consistent throughout the season would be the defense, to allow us to sustain and be in these games where if the offense is not able to go ahead and show up, we could win these perhaps low-scoring games where our offense doesn't show up and we win, you know, 14-13 and those kind of games. That's where I would like to see us, you know, like the Carolina game from last year, where our offense was slow start, but the defense made it enough turnovers, enough stops for us to go ahead and get the victory at the end. That's what I like to see from this defensive unit throughout the season.
And you bring up a good point about that too, and that's where to get to these really quick starts, you're going to need Shane Steichen, who's the new play caller. And well, he took over last year, but he's taking over starting this season. The offensive coordinator, you're going to need him to find ways to get Hurts in the rhythm early, because you've seen when he's really on, like we saw, granted it was preseason, but against the Jets, when he's really on, he can be on. But to get him in that flow, give him some easy high percentage throws to do that. It could be swing passes out with the running back. It could be stops with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, or even Dallas Goedert, a screen pass, whatever it is. As long as they get him in a rhythm early to establish him in the passing game, we always know the run game is going to be there. But if they find a balance to get him involved early and get him in that flow, I think this is where that offense can be really good.
Yeah, you guys are speaking truth, man. Speaking truth. Jalen Hurts, I know you guys know me. You guys see the Hurts season hat on. You guys know I'm really adamant about Jalen Hurts. Has he convinced you yet, or are you guys still on the wait and see train?
I still think he's really legit. I still believe that he's going to be able to put up some numbers. I think he's going to put up enough numbers that he's going to be in the discussion to get an extension with this team. I mean, you look at when you look at the way he's built. I mean, 52% that first year, 62% the following year, and then you see little subtle things that are changing. And especially it's key because, you know, this is the second year in the same system. Last time he was in the same system for 2 consecutive years, he was in high school. And a lot's happened since then. A lot has happened since then when it comes to that. So I look at the way he's also progressing and the way he's maneuvering around the pocket. He's going through his progressions. And the thing that's going to be key for him is everybody has to tape for when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play for him in that wild card game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit starts to try some of those things to just really test him out and get a feel to see if he's really progressed. So if he gets a sense of how the defenses are starting to play with him, if he can anticipate where those receivers are going to be in the soft spots of the coverages, and he delivers an accurate ball, even if he's facing under pressure, I think you will see a leap in bounds, and he'll start changing the perception that he has around him that he's only running quarterback. Now, I think some people will be surprised to see how much touch he can get on some of those passes and how much he develops as a quarterback.
Let me see. So with Jalen Hurts, there's one thing about him. I'm already, you know, I like this question because I've already gone through a series of emotions this whole entire offseason, just because that Tampa Bay game sort of left a sour taste in my mouth, because it's just like, okay, they really told him to play quarterback, and we actually saw how he was missing some open receivers and just his impatience in the pocket and just a lot of flaws that was exposed. However, one thing I've noticed about Jalen Hurts, and I think we've all, whether we were intentionally watching him or unintentionally watching him, this is a player that we've all pretty much seen grow since the freshman year at Bama. He was already in the national spotlight. And since the freshman year at Bama, from transferring to Oklahoma and rookie year in the NFL, like, he has slowly progressed every single year. You saw each time where he truly was able to still step up his game in some certain categories. And so I've come around to start trusting that capability. He has the mindset. The players, They thrive off of his mindset. He has a natural leadership born into him, and just really a dog mentality where he is going to go out there and continue to get better. And so having that effort, knowing that he's never satisfied and knowing that he is always looking to improve his craft every single step of the way, I am a believer that he could be a lot better than he was last year as a passer. One thing for sure is that he's a playmaker. Whether his passing game was inconsistent or not, he is a playmaker. He will make some plays that makes you go like, wow, it's just like that really happened. He's able to make that play. Like, it's a highlight tape of just Jalen Hurts getting out the pocket and just even making some ridiculous sharp throws, like to Greg Ward, that Monday night game against the Commanders, now we call them. So that being said, it's just a matter of seeing that consistency coming from Jalen Hurts. And so if we're able to see that throughout the weeks, he could definitely lock himself up, and he has the talent around him now. He has the talent. The A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, you got some speed out there. Zach Pascal being familiar with Sirianni's system. So Howie Roseman and the offense, they've made sure that they surrounded Jalen Hurts with the proper talent that he needs, and I think that he will definitely take advantage of it this year.
Yeah. So basically MVP, baby. That's what I hear. MVP this year.
Look,
that's what I hear. Jalen Hurts is that dude. Like you guys said, he's on the development of any other quarterback in the league. We've seen it happen with Carson. Have a good year. Next year on that MVP road. You know what I'm saying? Even in the Bama situation, Bama saved him out, went to OU. Now he was in that Heisman Trophy situation. Like, whenever you put the stacks against him, when he showed you that he played good. Listen, Jalen's the only guy in his first 20 games with 4,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing. That means a lot. There's been a lot of quarterbacks throughout the league, whether you want to call him a passer or a runner. That stat itself, saying that he's the only guy to do it, means he's been passing the ball and he's been running the ball. So he's been scoring touchdowns on both sides. So I think the NFL is more scared of like trying to, say that they can understand who Jalen Hurts is. I don't think any of us really do know. We've never seen the potential, his full potential. Like, this is going to be a whole new Jalen Hurts. Like you said, Chris, same system 2 years in a row. He had did this since he was a little kid with his daddy playing football in the backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be a huge thing. Being able to read defenses better, being able to see the field a lot more, and having your best friend as your receiver. And now you're talking about Devontae Smith going against number 2 cornerbacks. Quez, who had 700 yards plus yards last year, going against number 2s. Now he's going to get number 3s and linebackers and stuff. How are you going to stop this offense?
You get me pumped up right now. Let's go.
Jalen's not going to have to throw these deep bombs. Everybody's like, well, he can't throw these deep bombs. He doesn't have to. A.J. Brown led the league, one top in the league in terms of, 15 getting 15 yards reception, taking it to the house, or getting yak yards after it. So it's like we got the perfect setup for him to be successful. And I think it's not going to be everybody. Last year was his prove it year. You know what I'm saying? Like, last year was everybody prove it year. Howie's like, I'm not giving you all the pieces to the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving you the Mercedes. You take this Honda real fast and let's see what you can do with this Honda. And he said that to Nick. He said that to Shane. He said that to JG. He said that to Jalen Hurts. You want to be our quarterback? Let's see what you can do with just the team that you got. Let's see if you can elevate the team. And as we've seen all year long, he elevated players to play at a higher level than we were seeing them play at. So he did his job. Howie went out. Here he goes, the keys to Mercedes, my guy. The defense getting Jalen Hurts the ball back over and over again, which I think is going to happen. It's going to be another reason why Jalen numbers go, skyrocket this year. And if these players cannot have so many drops, mental mistakes, but, I don't expect them to really get them because they've been in the same system, just like Jalen. This is Devontae's second year. All of them, Quay's second year, and like everybody should be that much more in tune to what's going on. So when the plays come their way, make it at a high level.
See, I think when you look at Jalen, I think you have to look at what Kyler Murray's doing, because when you look at their numbers through the first 19 starts, they're eerily similar. And the thing that separates Jalen from Kyler Murray around that thing right now is just basically when it comes to the accuracy and making those deep, big plays downfield. And one big thing is now that you have A.J. Brown, because what teams were doing is they're going, okay, what's going to beat us on the Eagles through the air? Well, you got Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and everybody else we're unsure of. Okay, we'll just bracket Goddard and we'll double Devontae or shade a safety over to our side, so stop us. Now I think that they have that balanced offense. You'll be able to do that. And I think, for me, I still think this is a prove it year for Jalen, because the thing that's always still looming with him is that the Eagles still have those 2 first-round picks that are just lingering right now for next year. And I think the Eagles would prefer to use those on the defense, so that way they can just use them on a corner if they don't want to bring Bradbury back, or a defensive lineman or what have you. But they still have that there. So I think overall, he knows what's going on, and he loves to say he doesn't listen to rat poisoning or anything else like that. He doesn't want to listen to outside sources. So although deep down, I'm pretty sure he knows what's going on. I mean, without even having to listen to us in the media or anything else, like talk to it, he probably knows what's going on. Like, he knows he needs to prove it. So I think this year he does at least enough. I probably put him. I don't know if he's going to be MVP. I think he can be around the level of, because I think when you look at that, they'll give it to Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers or what have you. They're always going to go that way. I think he can make him, if he plays well enough, I think he could be among the talk for maybe like a most improved, or maybe the talk of maybe offensive player of the year if he puts the yards up there, which I think he's capable of putting at least 4,600 yards up, total yards, with like 4,000 passing, 600 rushing. Because I want to see that rushing number come down just a little bit, still be dynamic enough for the legs, but let it come down a little bit so he's not taking as many hits, and he's around. But I think he's in store for potentially a good year.
Yeah, when you just mentioned right now, seeing the rushing numbers go down just a little bit more, what I kind of think when it comes to that is like sort of a Russell Wilson kind of comparison, where, Russell Wilson was a little bit more active his early days in Seattle. Then by year 4, you start seeing him becoming more of a prolific passer. And that's what I would hope that Jalen Hurts would just transform into by year 4 at this point in time. We're obviously stepping into year 3 for him. And, it's I would agree that it is still a prove-it year for him just because of where the roster is set up at this point in time. If we see that this roster is prime and ready to go and make a possible Super Bowl run, but yet we're in a position like where the Rams have been before they made that trade for Stafford, or where the 49ers have been up to this point in time, where they see, okay, this roster, it's getting there, but you could see what's obviously holding them back, which was either, Jared Goff for the Rams or Jimmy G has been for the 49ers. And if we are in a situation this season where the Eagles, okay, this roster is clearly good, it has clearly helped and elevated the quarterback's game, but has the quarterback has been able to take advantage of it, and if Jalen Hurts has not been able to take advantage of it, and we come to a halt in the playoffs, and let's just say, it's almost a similar performance, because the playoffs, it's definitely that's what we saw last year against Tampa Bay, and where they just pretty much exposed and told Jalen Hurts, okay, play quarterback. This is the time to step up. And, if he's not able to deliver in that same situation again come playoff time, then yeah, it's like, okay, well, it's good that you'll be able to put up regular season numbers, but when it comes to this crunch time and we're not seeing you elevate or take advantage of this roster and be able to, lead us to the championship. And I'm not even asking for a Super Bowl this year. I would hope to honestly make maybe an NFC Championship appearance, but overall, a better playoff performance from Jalen Hurts. Otherwise, I would be very, very iffy moving forward, even if we're still a playoff team and he still has a very mediocre, below average performance like he did against Tampa Bay.
And real quick, I'll just jump in real quick with that. That was a good comp for Russell Wilson, because I remember him saying when he first got in the league, and even last year, he was the quarterback that he liked to study a lot too. So I can see that. I can see that as well too, and maybe he does turn into that.
Yeah, and that Super Bowl wasn't off of Russ's arm. They had Marshawn Lynch, Legion of Boom defense.
Oh, Legion of Boom, yeah, they dominated.
Super Bowls are won by teams. You know what I'm saying? Even the playoff last year, we lost that playoff game. Jalen had a bad game, but our whole team had a bad game. Everybody out there. The coaches had a bad game. It was a complete dumpster fire out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they did, we were not a good enough team to go against the other teams that were in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were the 7th seed. We got in there. We did our thing. It was good that we even made it there, but everybody knew no one was expecting us to be in the playoffs last year. Even most fans, we weren't expecting to be there. So it was a blessing to get there. And I just feel like our team as a whole wasn't good enough to be in the playoffs. And like, everybody bombed that game. I know how it's easier to throw the quarterbacks when you hear, he can't read defenses. Well, hey, this is Todd Bowles, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. He shouldn't be able to read your defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're one of the best. He's a first-year quarterback. And you guys are in the playoffs. You should be able to scheme up something that's going to be hard for a young guy to figure out, and he did. So you got to give him kudos, but I don't see it as being such a big deal as a lot of people, try to make it seem on. Me, I'm gonna defend my quarterback for a second, defend my Hurts, but I just don't feel like I think it's not fair criticism because, like I said, he does have better numbers than all these guys. A lot of these guys you're talking about. Oh, if he can just do this, if he can be like this, or he can do that, but he does it in his own way. It's not, like you said, it's not the prettiest passing. It's kind of electrifying, but not as electrifying as like Lamar Jackson and whatnot. But he still does it, and I want to see his rushing numbers go up too. I want to see him get 5,000 yards, 4,000 yards passing plus, and 1,000 yards rushing. Because Jalen Hurts is not a Lamar Jackson, and I even watched some of Josh Allen's rushing. Like he puts his body out a lot more. A lot of Jalen Hurts runs are pretty smooth. He knows how to slide. He knows how to run out of bounds when he's out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? Like he protects himself first and foremost more than I think we actually see him actually get blasted. When the last time we really seen him get blasted? He does have one of the most electrifying runs of the season last year in that Saints game when he dipped on him twice and then took it to the house for a touchdown. So I wouldn't want to take that weapon away from him. I want to keep him because it'll make our offense that much more. Now, do you want to see him? Do you think he's going to run as much? Probably he's going to run a little less, maybe bigger plays, but less times, because now you got to worry about the pass game, the running backs. If Miles Sanders can come healthy, and be the back that we all expect him to be because he's in that contract year too. That was going to be my next question too. Like, do you guys think Miles Sanders gets his contract and is he staying with the team or is it those days are done?
I think looking at the way the situation is going right now, it could be one of those things where they'll wait to the end of the season, being that, and fortunately for Miles situation when it comes to running back, right, unless you're like a guy like Dalvin Cook, unless you're one of the top running backs in the league, or Derrick Henry, it's tough to get a big deal like that. And the Eagles right now, they had, I think going into next year, they got $11 million under the cap. And they're obviously going to make some moves. They're going to make some restructures. They're going to sign guys, not sign. There's a long ways, and we know Howie Roseman, the way he can work with the cap and everything else. I think it's going to be one of those things where you look at, they're going to see the production Miles has. But I think they have, in a way, an insurance policy if it doesn't work out. And Trey Sermon, a guy who can be that physical back, who can step in a little bit at times, who can get you those hard yards as well too, and just still use a running back by committee, and you'll still have Gainwell for sure. You'd have Sermon, and then you resign Boston Scott, or resign Sanders if the market cools down, and he's willing to sign that, or he's willing to sign a team friendly deal. But as of right now, looking at this, do I think I wouldn't be surprised if something happened, but I think they're going to be more like along the lines of wait and see game when it comes to that.
Yeah, with the Miles Sanders situation, I think that it's just depends on his health when it comes to this, and sort of his consistency. At times, the Miles Sanders situation has been rather frustrating because we're kind of just waiting for him to officially take over. And we've been spoiled early on. Well, I have particularly been spoiled because I've been a fan of this team for, at this point in time, almost 20 years. So I was introduced to Deuce Staley, Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy, and then after Shady, we kind of just gone through our carousel of running backs in and out. And then so we saw Miles Sanders in the flashes that he made his rookie year. We were kind of hoping that, okay, looks like we got our next guy that's going to be locked in with us, just like how the other three running backs I was naming with Deuce, Brian, and Shady. But so some fumbles and games that I could remember that was a turning point, and obviously the injuries that has cost him missing some time. Now we're stepping into this year where I'm not gonna lie, I'm more excited for Kenneth Gainwell at this point rather than Miles Sanders. Now I know Miles Sanders, I believe he still has that home run hitter in him where he's always due for a big 50-plus yard run. And we always seem to go ahead and get that from him. But no rushing touchdowns last year. Now I know Jalen Hurts kept a lot of those balls in the red zone. However, you just saw a step back in where we was able to have the best run blocking offensive line last year. And Miles Sanders wasn't necessarily the best running back or the best runner that was able to take advantage of that unit. So it is more of a wait and see for me. I wouldn't, but if it was up to me to say right now, are we going to give him that extension? I would say no. It definitely has to be, a home run hit like what Chris just mentioned with the Dalvin Cooks and all the other top running backs that we have seen in this league.
Yeah. If you were to get an extension, Chris, how much you thinking? You thinking this is like a $7 million deal, $7 million? What you think? Top backs get about 15.
You get the guys like around 10, like around 10, 11, around that one if you're going to be that. And I don't see them using a franchise tag on them because they're trying to play in top 5. And the one tag, the one thing I would think, and I don't foresee them doing it, but one thing that could be they could use a transition tag where it's the average is the top 10, but it's so rarely used now. And pretty much you're just going like, all right, if I'm going to franchise you, if not, I'm going to see you walk in. Running back's one of those tough positions where you're like, you know what, we'll burn a third or something like that, or a 4th round pick, and see if we can hit lightning in a bottle when it comes to that. And I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the draft yet for like the college game yet to see if there's anybody that's going to be around there. Like it's so early in slot and everything, but I'd have to see if he was willing to come back for 6, 7 for a year, or maybe if they work the contract in a way where it escalates up, probably like it's like a 3-year deal or something like that for, I don't know. Now I'm just talking on that one too. Like 3 years, 30 million, with the guaranteed million being around like 12 or 13. I'd be for that, but it's still a long ways to go, and I got to figure out it depends also where the Eagles are when it comes to signing some of these other guys too, because they got a couple decent names coming up that's going to be doing an extension.
No, I hope he gets. I really feel like this is his year too. It's a lot less pressure even from last year. The pressure, like we said, 2 years before that, the last couple of years, we haven't been using our running backs right too. We have pass happy offensive coordinators like to pass the ball. You wouldn't really get them into the rhythm of the game early enough, I think, personally. And I think that kind of led into some of these injuries. He's not getting hit enough. We don't even hit in practice that much anymore. We stopped doing these. They're not playing in preseason games. They're doing the joint practice thing. You're not really getting that full physicality, building that callus around your body. So I think that is kind of another thing, of why Miles Sanders keep getting these little ding ups. Still getting up there in yards, almost 800 yards total last year. No touchdowns, but, like you said, Jalen took some of those. Gainwell, every time it seemed like he was in the game, he was taking some of those, and Boston Scott and Howard, they all had their share of their touchdowns too. So I think he does really sets itself apart from the rest of the running backs. So we seen last year too, when he came back, when Howard was on that run, you totally seen a difference in running backs. They had the same amount of carries, or even like Miles might even have less that next game that he got back. But Miles had like way more yards than Howard just because he's more of an explosive back. People forget he was that only running back with the 3 80-yard touchdown runs 2 years ago, in that season. So Miles definitely is an explosive back. Like you said, the injury bug, some of these things you just got to play through. I think we heard him talk about it this offseason. He's going to have to play through some of these things. People do want to see you. If you can go out there and play, back in the day, if you're a football player, any injury, you can have, a twisted ankle or any of that kind of stuff, pulled muscle. But you out there playing, you take your little medicine, you wrap it up, you get out there, and you go play football. Now I feel like some of these guys have been spoiled. Any little pain to like, oh, I can't play this week, or the coaches don't want to play them this week. And you just got to be the player to be like, hey, enough's enough. You're not going to get healed until you start, toughening up and manning up and going out there and playing, playing through it and getting used to how to play through it. You got guys like Kelsey, never missed a game, have this record for so long, not missing the start, and he definitely, he has pain. He's a lineman. He's in the middle. He's a smaller center, but one of the best in the league. So, he put that work in. You got a lot of people hitting him up. So, you got I think it's a willpower. It's a one, and hopefully he figured it out. He talked real positive this offseason. And hopefully he goes out there and does what he talked about and go put up some big numbers.
And he talked about today. We got the availability with him, and he's saying he was basically trying to take it as a precautionary deal. So he sounds like he's going to be ready to go week 1. And to get back to it, I think he can put up some decent numbers just by the fact of the people on the field. Because I really think teams are going to have to start playing more zone against the Eagles, because you don't want to be beat by playing man to man. All of a sudden, Jalen takes off. You got your back turned to him. You can't see him. And you also don't want to get beat, because when you got the speed on the outside now, you don't want to give up a big play that way. So with those safeties all the way back, and then even if you play the linebackers close to the line, all Sanders has to do is break a tackle, break one hole. Next thing you know, he's in the second, third level. He's getting those subsequent yards from there on out. So the opportunity is there for him to rack up yards and to make a stronger case that he deserves a lucrative extension. It's a matter of if he's going to be on the field to be able to get those yards that he can get.
I want both of you guys give me your sleeper. Who do you think is a person that not getting the hype this offseason right now that you think can really have a breakout season this year for the Philadelphia Eagles? I know we got a lot of depth, so it's hard. You're like even the second guy doesn't really seem like a sleeper because you're like we've been talking about him as fans. We're talking about how deep our team is. But if you have to throw a sleeper out there, who you think would be that guy?
I think the guy that we always sleep on every single year, and that's Boston Scott. Somehow, some way, second half of the season surges, and he just comes out and just explodes and has a couple big touchdown runs and a couple big games for us. And so, with another year, with this top offensive line and a plethora of weapons out there, that okay, well, if Gainwell is out the game, Miles Sanders out the game, Boston Scott. Teams might be focusing a little bit more on the passing unit this time around, but at the end of the day, we have seen Scott throughout these years take advantage of that just because he might be the third rotational running back that's going to be coming in. He finds a way to really still keep that offense up to pace. And even at times when the offense has just have a couple flat tires, he comes in and fills it in until we get back into that next the tire station for us to go ahead and exchange it. So, yeah, I'm always going to say Boston Scott would be the sleeper.
I thought the dreaded Eagle brought up a good point. I just saw it pop up and I was like, oh, wow, he took my answer. Yeah, because I think Josh Sweat's going to be the guy. Was going to be that. I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm going to follow just that because you have Hassan Reddick now and you got to worry about he had 23 and a half sacks the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of production from that one side. Then you still have Javon Hargrave. I know he's still I think he's going to be ready too, but you get another Pro Bowler in the middle of that, and that defense has 7.5 sacks. I think you'll see Fletcher Cox could play a lot better than he did last year as well too. He's by the way, he's in a good place as well too. Given that it seemed like last year's like he was ready to go, but the fact you have those on the line, it's almost you hate to say it, but you almost kind of forget that you have Josh Sweat on the other side, and given that they have that they play that like overhang look where you have Reddick is a lot on one side. Then you have Brandon Graham on the middle on the side. You're like, okay, gotta worry about the games they're going to play on the side. And then, Josh Sweat's going on the outside, and next thing you know, he's still applying pressure. And we saw what he can do when he's another guy when he's healthy. He's on the field. He can do a lot, and I think he can be a beneficiary of those other moves they made and that pass rush on the other side. I think he can do some good things.
And I say Quez Watkins. We're so worried about Devontae. Like I said, I think Quez can even be like a sneaky pick for like a Pro Bowl selection this year because no one's thinking about him. No one's really, you don't hear too much. But yeah, you might hear a little.
Is he returning?
And he's kickoff returning too.
Okay.
He's on the depth chart right now for the. He's definitely on the depth chart for the kick returns right too. So he might be able to do.
And I think it's possible. Like I said, I just think it's possible he gets those big numbers. Not like, I think Smitty probably end up with the most catches. I think Brown probably end up, with the most touchdowns. And I think Quest probably ends up with the most yards there. Just out of freaking big plays, always being open. Like you said, it's going to really come up to the coaches. I think they have the most pressure than anybody on our team. It's the coaches because they have the pieces. Can you really scheme these guys up and put them in position to make the plays that we want to see every Sunday? Game in, game out. You know what I'm saying? So I think if they can do that, it's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be awesome to see.
Yeah, there's a lot that Quez can definitely too. And I was talking to a coach before, who was with another team, a defensive backs coach, and he said he was shocked last year they didn't put Quez in the slot a lot more because of the pressure he can put. And when you have him lined up 1-on-1 against a safety and he's on the inside, it's like, oh no, what's going on with this? Yeah, he can create a lot of matchup problems well too, given that all the other pieces they have on that offense.
Yeah. It's I think Quez ended up being the kind of player that we wanted Jalen Reagor to be with that speed, but you could just see on the field their game speed is just night and day differently, where we see Quez explosiveness was a lot more than Jalen Reagor's. And so, yeah, with what I'm wondering about these coaches, that I just hope that because we've added with our new receivers, Pascal, AJ Brown, I just hope that we don't necessarily go too pass happy and want to play with our toys too early. I've always felt like we should probably still stick with our bread and butter that gets the offense going, and that is really still sticking with being a run first team, and then gradually get the passing game going. Because again, I like to think back to 2017 a lot with which how we didn't really start turning up until we started giving the ball to LeGarrette Blount and J.J. when we traded for him, and we started running the ball heavily. We were third in rushing, and yeah, I think our passing yards was still with Carson Wentz. He was not a 4,000-yard passer. I think he was barely even a 3,000-yard passer in 2017, but our passing game was still very top tier. It was still an elite passing game. You still had Nick Foles coming in playing MVP level in the playoffs, just like as Carson Wentz was playing MVP level in the regular season. And it all was starting off because of that running game. So I would hope that the coaching staff would still stick to that formula of getting the ball going, running the football first. That could open up the passing game and really boost up our passing numbers without needing to overdo it.
And when you look at Shane Steichen, you look at his history, like back even when he's going back to the San Diego Chargers or Los Angeles Chargers, both with him, when going back to both, he's done that. He's run the ball, he's used the screen game a lot. And I look at what he did with Justin Herbert, and this could be a situation where you look at the job that he and Gannon does, and it could be crazy because you look at what Steichen did with Herbert his rookie year, and you see that it's like, all right, yeah, he did all right. So now it comes to a point where if he does well with Hurts, and then Gannon finds a way to do well with the defense, you could be looking at new coordinators next year if they do well enough. If they go far enough into the playoffs or anything, you're like, oh, here we go again. There's a new coordinator staff on that one too. So it's crazy when it comes to that.
This game on Sunday, guys. Who do you guys think? What do you guys think is going to happen? You think it's going to be an easy game, walk in the park? You think it'll be a close game? And who you think going to win? Give me a score prediction.
It's tough. I look at it. The fact they have a sellout right now in Detroit, and the thing is, I really want to know is how many of those are Detroit Lions fans that come here, or how many of those are Eagles fans. If they travel, because I'll say this, I don't know what's going on, but I find it kind of weird that there's the plane I'm taking out to Detroit is full, and they're asking for people to go ahead and take different ones. They're offering stuff already. I'm like, what's going on? So if it's a pro Eagles thing, I think it'll be interesting to see the Lions have to use a silent count at home. But even if it's not, even if it's a heavy Lions crowd, I look at the way that the Lions have to remember that almost first there. And remember that beating they took in that last game. And you look at the way they had all summer to plan and scheme this in the first year. So I think it's going to be close early on, especially in the first half. But after that, I think the Eagles pull away, and I think the Eagles win this game 31-17.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I would say I agree with how the game could similarly be. I do believe because it is week 1 of the NFL season, Eagles on the road, and then training camp. Seems like the team really, really feeds off of Coach Campbell's energy. It's just like, I could just see where that game could be a little bit more passionate for the Lions, and I could see where they might feel a little bit more of that momentum and motivation stepping in. However, though, once the game begins, that can only last for so long, because I believe that's when the Eagles and our roster could overtake the Lions. But I do see a slow start, though. I do see a slow week 1 start, since these are the starters' first full game in action. So I can see us stepping into halftime up 14-10, and then pull away in the second half, and I see the Eagles winning 28-13.
No, nice. That's another one. Nice score. And I agree, both of you guys. I think it might not be a slow start. It's just some well-played defense, really. The Lions got decent defense over there. The Eagles got good defense, and everybody's just knocking off the rust, because most really good starters didn't play in the preseason. That's just not the last 2 games. So it's like they're going to get out there. It's going to look a little sloppy for like a quarter. But like you said, then the Eagles pull away. I don't think it'd be like a 44-7, blowout like that. But I do think it's going to be like 31-14. That was the score I said. I think it's going to be a nice, we win convincingly. But I want to see us go out there and beat a team that we all want them to be, that we see that they can be, early. Even Atlanta last year, we kind of came out there and whooped them up real easy, but then we didn't see that no more for 5 weeks, So I wanted to be consistent. I think our team is better overall. That's the reason. That's the biggest thing that is going to make a difference from last season and this season. We just have a better team overall. We have 7 new starters on defense. We got some ballers like AJ Brown, all these other guys taking that next step. Devontae next year, Quest next year. Even Miles Sanders building and understanding what he has to do this year. So I really think that it's gonna be that much more easier for us to win these games with our schedule that we have. I got the Eagles saying, I say the floor will be 12-5. I really don't feel like they should lose. And any more games than 5, with the second easiest schedule. And I don't really even see any of those teams that, we should lose to be honest. I don't really see, they're not one team. Last year we had a couple teams we can lose to this one, we can lose that one. This year's we shouldn't lose to any of them. It's football any given Sunday, so we probably, no one's perfect, so we could possibly lose. But I think, like I said, 12-5 and 13-4, 14-3, for the season. And that's pulling teeth. What do you guys think about that?
I look at it, I have them 11-6, and the reason why is because every year, I think you look at that. There's always a team that comes out of nowhere. You have that, and there's always a team that you think that okay, they're going to be tougher in that way too. I mean, for this year, I had initially going in. I think that tough stretch against the Packers and Titans. I mean, it could be one of those things where the Titans by now could be lacking because they're still trying to get used to Ivan Brown. It could be something where all of a sudden, I don't know, well, not the Jaguars, but say the Colts are all of a sudden a juggernaut or something like that. So it's tough to decide which one on each side. But given I think you playing mostly the AFC South and the AFC East, I think it's one of those where you finish 11-6 and they win a division and go to the divisional round before they're knocked out.
So I do agree when it comes to that tough stretch of the schedule. I would say it's going to be at Indianapolis, and then the following week we play Green Bay and then Tennessee right after. But we're just not sure how Tennessee is looking in particular. And also Indianapolis, I'm not sure how Matt Ryan is still holding up to this point in time. And we always know Aaron Rodgers is going to go ahead and bring his A game. However, though, it comes down to the division for me. We were 3-3 last year in the division. We got to handle Dallas. I'm tired of losing to Dallas. I think that Dallas and playing against Dak in particular, we actually have a poor record against him. So I would love to see us handle Dallas and walk out this division at least 4-2. And then I think that with the schedule that we have and just how this team is primed and ready to go, we're stepping into the season rather healthy as well. We could really, really, I say we could really catapult to double-digit wins. I could see 13-4 to 12-5. I could see that for sure.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, hey, thank both of you guys for coming on the channel, man. Go ahead and give me your final thoughts and let everybody know where they can find you at.
Well, I think, hey, you know what? I think it's going to buckle up. It's going to be a very interesting season. It's going to be a lot of different things that you'll see. I think you'll see you'll follow around, not just over with the Eagles, but overall in the league. I think this is going to be one of the most evenly matched. There's parities going to be in play here, especially in the NFC. So it's going to be a real interesting thing to watch. And it's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Right.
Be excited. Yeah, let's go ahead and be excited again for our Birds. They're back. We've missed them. The fact that they was able to be a playoff team last year, that did surprise all of us. And so at this point, you just want to see them now that we was able to make the playoffs. And they showed that, okay, we're capable of making the playoffs. What is that next step in order for us to make a playoff run? So we'll go ahead and see how close they are this year. I do think that this team is prime and ready to go for another playoff appearance. And it's all about being excited and seeing these Birds back out there on the football field.
And you guys know me. Ring that championship bell right now. Start ding dong, ding dong. The Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, baby. This is the team. A lot of magical stuff's on this team. Be excited, be ready. And as fans, we need to feel like this is a Super Bowl team. We need to support them like we think they're going to be a Super Bowl team until they're not. And that's what I'm going to do, man. Jalen Hurts MVP, best team in the league. Someone else, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And until then, I'm speaking this. So much love to both of you guys. Make sure you guys go subscribe to both of my guys. Darius Dalton over there with his what's the new name? What's the new name?
Jaminoid. It's a throwaway name. I'm just kind of going through a little bit of an incognito phase right now. Yeah. So just find me at Jaminoid.
Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to Jaminoid over there. And then follow Chris at NJs.com, right?
Yep. So there,
Yep, got it. Yeah, BIRDGANG, Philadelphia sportsman, beat writer. So much love to all you guys. Fly, Eagles, fly. Till next time, it's Bird Gang. We out. Peace.
Go Birds.